Before we jump into the video, I've been doing Ascension Presents now for a little bit more than 6 years, and it has been a tremendous joy and source of grace. I'm particularly grateful and blessed by the relationships that it's introduced me to and the people that I've met. What we're doing here at Ascension with our free media and the podcast, Ascension Presents, and all of Father Mike's stuff, it seems like it's been a blessing to a lot of you too. And that's why we're doing it, that it's a source of grace for y'all on your journeys with the Lord and for the whole world. We at Ascension are able to give this out to you for free, and we want to continue to do so. As you may know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and this has only been fruitful and possible because of the generous prayers and also support of so many of our listeners and our viewers. So if you believe in what we're doing over here in evangelizing the digital continent with this free media, and if you're in a place where you're able to support our mission here financially, visit ascensionpress.com/support so that we can continue to create this content and continue to evangelize in this way and to give it out for free. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary with Franciscan Friars with Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. Today, we're going to talk about accepting ourselves. But not like that. Self-acceptance, what it is, what it isn't, what humility has to do with it. This is kind of the third part of maybe what we'll call a 3-part series on the kind of journey from self-knowledge to self-acceptance to self-possession to self-gift. We're gonna be looking at like self-acceptance, and it has gonna have a lot to do with humility, right? Self-acceptance is seeing it, like I know myself, and now I actually accept the reality. I just accept the reality. And this is going to be an expression of humility, right? Humility is just living in the truth of ourselves. I'm going to look at this particularly in the area of like a weakness towards sin. It's going to kind of look like this. All right, Lord, here I am again. We're like not going to be surprised or scandalized by like those areas where we have repeated sin. It's like, here's a weakness. Here's a struggle of mine. Here's where it comes from. I'm trying to make it go away. It looks like I'm signing up for a journey. So here we are. Here I am, Lord. There's a certain humility of it. There's a certain a healthy compassion about myself. There's a knowledge, but there's also like I'm bringing this to you, Lord. I know that you love me where I'm at, and we're going to make this journey together. So that's part of it. It's going to bear fruit in a lot of mercy. The second part of it, which people really struggle with, particularly in the area of like sexual sin or like pornography, fornication, like with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, is also like accepting how actually weak you are. Kind of an established place of this, like maybe an authority or well-known area of like what this looks like, is sort of the 12 steps. Like it begins with like acknowledging like I don't have power over alcohol. Like it has power over me, like it's led me to a life that's out of control. But when you're in those areas and you're making those mistakes and you're hearing other people, there's just a lot of like this self-acceptance. Yeah, I get it. I can do that. I've been there too. But then it's like a self-acceptance, which is going to also bear fruit in, okay, I'm committed to doing this work. I'm committed to doing these steps. I'm committed to rooting out resentment. I'm committed to not casually drinking because I recognize how weak and how vulnerable I am. I can say I'm going to have 2 drinks, but really what it's going to lead me to be doing is to being passed out and drunk and throwing up and in jail or whatever. Or I know that like if I don't really do the work of rooting out these resentments in my life, I'm going to have a relapse, or if I don't go to meetings or I don't work the sponsor, right? So there's like, okay, I accept. But also like this self-acceptance and humility bears fruit through like, I accept what I have to do and how I have to protect myself and how I can't, what other people can do, like I can't do. And so like, I really want to look at this in the area of chastity. We'll start with kind of like pornography and misuse of the internet. We want to get to a place where we can have a certain like, okay, I'm a weak man or a weak woman. This is part of my life. This is a thing. Here I am. I bring it to the Lord. And like, I'm on the journey and I keep bringing it to the Lord when I fall. But also like at some point we have to accept how weak we are and how vulnerable we are before the phone or the computer or the laptop or social media or like whatever it is. Like if we recognize like when I do this thing, when I'm alone at night with my computer, eventually I'm gonna fall. Eventually, I'm gonna fall. Like it's really hard for people to accept it. As you know, for somebody who's struggling with alcohol abuse, like maybe it's like a struggle for them to be like, I just can't have a drink. I have to just root it out of my life. There's a lot more people out there than are willing to admit it who have to accept that they are powerless before sort of anonymous, hidden, private internet use. And that it will lead you to serious sin. It will lead you back to a fall. You need to really think about this with courage and boldness. Like, do I have freedom in this area or not? Similarly with relationships, the bar for what is or is not appropriate and okay is super skewed. It's super skewed. And so people, really good people and faithful people and people who pray and go to mass and all that and go to confession, they get in relationships and pretty quickly they're committing serious sin with each other. And then they, have conversations, reset boundaries, go to confession. Next week, same thing. Next week, same thing. At some point, we gotta, like, here I am, Lord. I'm a weak, vulnerable human being. The sexual urge, it's good. There's a reason for it. Right now, it's not the place for it. You know what? Like, being together alone at night, it's gonna get us in trouble. Like, we need to take a step back. Kissing in this way is going to lead us to get in trouble. Like, we need to stay in groups for a while. We need to not be hanging out in each other's apartments or rooms by ourselves. Like, at some point, self-acceptance, which is going to lead to self-possession, ultimately self-gift, is like saying, like, I wish I wasn't this weak, but I am. And I need to make choices that are rooted in the reality of how weak I am. And we need to, like, really, really set, like, what we thought the boundaries were that would work are actually not even close. We need to take 12 steps back, and that's a thing, and that's a real thing. So my friends, like, this is going to lead us towards then ultimately self-possession. Okay, we're going to put ourselves in situations that we can handle and live in freedom, and so that we can love one another better and with a greater sort of self-gift. Again, self-knowledge. Okay, I am weak. I accept it, and then I make choices at the service of self-possession and self-gift, which really take into account how vulnerable and weak I am, particularly in the area of sexual sin and temptation. Take courage. Be the one who says, like, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm going to live different. I'm going to, like, be serious about following the Lord. I'm going to set some really strong boundaries. Like, don't be afraid of it. Ask for the Lord's courage. Like, it's worth it. Chastity, freedom, self-possession, self-gift are worth it. All right, praying for y'all. And thanks for watching. I look forward to being with you again next week. Some of the friars, we have a podcast called Poco Poco Podcast where we work through some of this. If you want to kind of go through it in like a longer form, you can check out the episode that starts out on August 21st called Know Yourself. And we work through it there. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. I look forward to being with you again next week. Remember, we are pilgrims on this earth. Somos peregrinos poco a poco, little by little. Vamos a llegar. We're going to make it.